I have to say, we had some very happy, smiling faces as we
nice
saw some of them opening their results, and they got what they wanted. It was great.
Well, we're joined now to discuss that by Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. Bridget, thank you so much for your time now. It's already been recognised that there's a north-south divide when it comes to who gets into university, education, etc., etc. How are you going to tackle that?
Yeah, good morning. Absolutely, there is a gap, and that gap is widening, and that's the record that this government inherited from the last. But I'm determined to turn it around, because I don't think where you're from should go on to determine what you're able to achieve. So some of the action that we'll be taking will be about what goes on in our schools, but then also the wider pressures that families are under at the moment, because we know that far too many children are growing up in poverty, and that blights their life chances. And that's why I'm leading the work together with Liz Kendall, the Work and Pension Secretary, across government to drive down on those numbers around child poverty. But in terms of what happens in our schools, I'm determined that we deliver high and rising standards for all of our young people. And that means more brilliant teachers in our classrooms, because the single biggest way we can drive improvements in teaching and learning is by having fantastic teachers. And that's what I'm determined to deliver.
What about the role of businesses? I'm looking at T-levels, and there's a lot of confusion about whether they'll go ahead and what's happening around that. Can you give us any enlightenment?
Yeah, T-levels are a really important addition to the technical and vocational qualifications landscape, and I can reassure you that they are here to stay. The challenge that we face is making a success of them, because the rollout of T-levels hasn't gone totally smoothly under the last government, and we want to make it work. I'd say alongside that, I also want to make sure that there are other options there for our young people who want to take a technical or vocational route, including more apprenticeships for our young people too. So it's about those range of options that we want for our young people to go to university, to carry on with an apprenticeship, or the chance to go into the world of work. It's about making sure that there are lots of different opportunities that are there.
Do we have too many universities?
It's a good question.
No, I don't accept that.
Well, there's a large body of opinion that says that we do, that we place too much emphasis on university education rather than on the job training.
I don't think it's one or the other. I think our universities make a really big and important contribution to our economy, to our towns and cities. I certainly know that as an MP in Sunderland, where the university has opened up opportunities for adult learners as well as for our young people. But absolutely, we do need to do more to ensure that there are really strong and good apprenticeships there for our young people as well. But university is a really attractive option that lots of young people want the chance to take up, and I think that's really positive.
OK. You're in an incredibly privileged position, your party. You've got this enormous election victory, this huge majority in the Commons, so you really can afford to think big. And I'm just wondering if you are going to be looking at the big issues here. For example, how we fund university degrees. Are you happy with the way that it works at the moment, that there are kids leaving uni with a debt of £45,000 hanging over their head? Is that really the best system, do you think, the best available system?
No, I'm not happy with the system I've inherited, and I do want to reform that system. But, you know, I've been looking at all of the options around this. I will continue to review that. We're little more than a month into this new government, and this is a really big and complex area where, if we want to drive change, we need to make sure we get this right. So we will review it. I want to make sure it's a fairer system overall for our students. And there are big challenges that our institutions, our universities are facing at the moment where it comes to their finances. And that's why I've taken immediate action as Secretary of State to refocus the work of the regulator, the Office for Students, to make sure that our universities are on a much firmer footing and succeed into the long run.
Sorry I interrupted you there. Just to get it clear, does that mean that one of the options you might consider, because I guess all bets are off the table really, you might go back to some form of the old student grant system and where parents were invited to contribute rather than the kids having to pay it back later?
I would want to look at that, all of it together in the round. I am concerned about what I hear from our students when I visit universities, about the fact that particularly disadvantaged students, so those from less well-off backgrounds, are increasingly having to work lots and lots of hours in retail jobs, and the impact that has on their studies. And it is unfair and it's not right. And we need to look at the options for reform right across the board. But this is complex. It really is a complex area, and we need to make sure that we get this right.
That's really encouraging, actually.
It really is. Yeah. A really quick final one. What would you say to everybody opening their exam results today?
I want to say a huge congratulations to all of our young people. They've worked incredibly hard, shown tremendous resilience. They've faced lots of disruption and challenges, and they should be really proud of what they've achieved. And I do want to say a big thank you to all of the teachers and staff who've supported them along that way on that journey. Young people can't do it without the amazing people in our schools and colleges. And if you've got what you need this morning, then fantastic and well done. If things haven't quite worked out as you'd hoped, there are lots and lots of support available. Your school or college can provide help. There's also the UCAS clearing process, the National Career Service. Make sure that you get support and find out what the options are that are available to you.
Thank you so much.
Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, thank you. I'm just from a personal level, I'm just so glad to hear that this government is going to be looking at reforming the student loan system, because I think it's iniquitous. I think it's awful.